A very good morning and a warm welcome to all of you in StudyIQ. I am Prashant Mavani. The date today is 15th September 2017. Dear friends, I have something to share with all of you. It is a small story about Buddha. Buddha was once approached by a man who showered abuses on Buddha, and naturally Buddha never reacted to that person. But when that person was gone, all the disciples got together and they were asking Buddha, like, why you didn't respond to the person who was using abusive language for you. Buddha said that whatever the man had given to the Buddha had been taken back by him. In other words, since Buddha was indifferent to what had been said, the abuses did not touch him at all. The reason why I'm highlighting this thing here is that I know many of you would be facing huge amount of criticism, negative energy from many people around you. They would be calling you different things. They would also be saying that, or passing their views that you would never be able to crack Civil Services Examination, etc., etc. The best thing that you can do is don't focus on these people or their words, right? Be indifferent to it and stick with your studies. Think about the ways you can excel, shine and succeed. That's the only thing that is required. Now, dear friends, before moving ahead to Pendrive, the Hindu analysis, allow me to introduce to our Pendrive and tablet courses. Now, we have different Pendrive and tablet courses for SSC, Bank, UPSC and State Level Public Service Commission exams. So if you haven't got one, I would recommend all of you to get it as soon as possible. It will help you to learn with the comfort of home from best faculties of India. The quality that you find in our Pendrive and tablet courses is top of the range. If you have any queries regarding it, you can feel free to give us a call on this number, or you can also check out our website. You have chat support available on our website. You can utilize that thing. Now let's start with the Hindu editorials, good and simple tax. It was last Sunday when I provided you some insight regarding this thing, goods and service tax. What are the things that are the technical glitches because of which there are many people who are facing problem with it. Now see, it has been nearly a full quarter. I have talked to you about what quarter is, but for new listeners, quarter basically is 3 months period, right? So in 1 year we have 4 quarters. So from July to September we have, like, nearly, it is going to finish like first full quarter, and we are finding so many problems with GST rollout. And the other thing is that so far the revenue collection has been, right, for the first month itself it is 95,000 crore, and this is just coming from 70% of eligible taxpayers. So when we will get more tax from this 100% eligible taxpayers, it is going to be somewhere around 1.2 lakh crore rupees. This is huge. The government was targeting somewhere around 91,000 crore, but we have definitely exceeded it. So many more taxpayers are registering themselves and their companies in August period. So we are going to find more tax. The government is going to have more tax, and this is definitely going to be beneficial for the exchequer. Basically means the treasury of the government will have more revenue in their hand. With this, they can utilize this money for the development purpose of our country. And if this is the way government is going to get more money, or if this is the amount that government is going to get, then in near future we may also see that there would be some cut in the rates as well. As we know, we have different slabs, so government may lower the slabs and the cesses that are levied on that are applied in this GST. So this is beneficial thing. It is going to be beneficial for every one of us if the taxes are going down. The other thing is that the rollout has been not that smooth because of technical glitches. See, what is happening at present is that the giants, when I say giants, I'm talking about the huge mammoth companies. Then you have medium companies, micro and small firms. Everyone is trying to pay their returns, right? GST returns. And they are using this GST network. It is a technological backbone, and it is using internet and all these things. So everything is done over the net, and because of this many people doing it, many mistakes, etc., etc. So it is creating some technical problems, and there are some issues of connectivity as well. So this is not good for GST. And the other thing is that for sorting out this problem, what government has did is it has extended the deadline, right? So the GST returns for the first month, right, it was already extended twice, and now the GST return for the third month, that is September. For the September, you have to pay GST on November the 10th. For sorting out to deal with this thing, as central and state ministers, a task force has been set up by the GST Council, and it will look after the internet and all these technological issues that are going on. But here you have something that you can read between the lines. This is itself an indication, the way government has extended the text line, the text date, the way government has formed this committee or a task force of central and state ministers. So these are the things that government is doing. These are the steps. So here you can identify, these are the things through which you can identify how government sorts out any problem. Imagine yourself as an IAS officer responsible for rolling out of GST. So what would you do, right? You would be doing something similar. You will communicate with businessmen, you will tell them, you will inform them, you will build a rapport with them, and you will say them that these are the things we are going to do, these are the issues that they are facing. So you would be working between both ministers and businessmen. You would be the middle person. So you should think in this sense as well. This will help you in understanding things, right? So this is basically what I call read between the lines, the things that you don't find in written content, but something that can be easily deduced from it. Now, to inspire confidence, this group must not only act expeditiously, that means it should act swiftly, but it should also ensure that there is transparency in this GST network. Now, the main issue regarding what are the downside of this sort of glitches or technical problems is that, say, if you have to pay if you pay your tax in this month, and if it is going to be sorted out after a couple of months, then what will happen is the refund, right? You have to claim your refund. Now, refund is something, imagine it is a sort of money that is blocked. Your money is blocked with the government, and for your working capital, for your day-to-day smooth running of your business, you need some cash, or you need some money, may it be in cash or may it be in digital form, but you have to do some payments, you have to do some purchases, etc., etc. You have to pay your bills and rent and property and whatever. So for this thing you need money, but if your huge amount of money is blocked, then, and if it is going to take a bit of long time for it to come back to you, then it is going to be detrimental for the business, because the festival season is just around the corner, and particularly for the people who are doing export business, it is not good for them to do it. But anyway, government has formed a council, government has formed the GST council basically has formed a special committee, and this committee is headed by Revenue Secretary. I have told you earlier as well that Revenue Secretary is the official secretary of GST Council. So he is going to sort it out. He is a very able person, so definitely we will find some sort of solution in it. Now, the Hindu editorial is criticizing the government. It is saying that basically what it was about, that the GST deadline was September 16. So the government was having 1 year with it. Starting from last September, it was having 1 year in its hand to roll out GST. And what government did is government has basically launched it on 1st of July. So it is criticizing, it is saying that you should take some time. Government should have took some more time in their hand, and before launching it, they should have sorted out this problem. Well, I will leave it up to you whether you disagree or agree with this thing or this view of the Hindu. And these are the things that you have to think about as well. It's not that you should take it whatever is coming from the media. You have to apply your own understanding, and you have to analyze things. Now, I'll give you a couple of points. See, world over, people have rolled out, different countries have rolled out GST, right? It is working fine in Australia, Canada, and other developed countries, and many other countries. Now we are already late, isn't it? We have started talking about it somewhere in 2000, and it's 2017, so nearly 15-16 years has already passed, and now we are getting GST. And if we are waiting for another months, and if we are imagining that it is going to be, when we roll out, it should be a perfect system, then that's not how it works. These are real life problems, right? It is not something that government is not trying. Government is trying its very best, but some problems are not in your hands. When you do something, then you find that these are the issues, and then you sort it out. That's how life and business works. Anyways, this topic is over. Next one is about the elections that are going to take place in Germany. Now let's locate where Germany is, or let's learn something about Germany. The lady that you can see on the screen, she is Angela Merkel. She is the Chancellor of Germany. She has been running the government of Germany from quite a long time. This is the fourth time she's standing as a chancellor, like for election. She's standing in election for chancellor, and here is the lower house, equivalent to Lok Sabha of our country, right? I'll give you the name as well of this. Now observe the country of Germany. You can see many different European countries are bordering it. You can see Switzerland, France, Luxembourg, then you have Belgium, Netherlands. On the other side, on the eastern side, you have Poland, Czech Republic, Austria, right? So these are the countries. So you can see it is sharing border with many countries. On the north side, you can see it is sharing a border with Denmark as well. Then you can see two water bodies. On the western side, it has, or you can say northwest side, it has North Sea, and on northeast side it has Baltic Sea, right? So these are two important sea. So keep this in your mind as well, and I'm going to throw some questions at the end of this lecture, and hopefully you all will reply at your convenience. The capital of Berlin, capital is Berlin, and there are other major cities as well. Germany is famous for mechanical engineering. It is famous for car making as well. I'm sure you know Mercedes, BMW and Audi, and there are other cars as well that are quite famous. So in engineering, it is one of the most famous country. The other thing is, when we talk about Europe, it is the biggest economy in Europe. It is one of the strongest country in Europe in terms of technology, in terms of all the aspects, in military terms, in defense terms. It is one of the most developed and one of the most advanced country in Europe as well, right? So German election. Now the name of their parliament, or the lower house, is known as Bundestag, right? This is a name of German lower house, Bundestag. Remember this thing. Of course, you are not going to find this sort of questions, but it is something of regarding general awareness. We should be aware about this sort of things as well. Who knows, in future you'd be working as Indian Foreign Service officer, and this could be the place that you have to visit as well, isn't it? So it's better to prepare everything from now on whilst you are studying. Anyways, so Angela Merkel, she is one of the most influential politician in Europe. Of course, she is one of the most influential politician in Germany as well, and around the world as well. She is a person of considerable reputation. And the thing is, she in 2015, it was Germany under her leadership decided to open the doors for the Syrian migrants. We know how in 2015 there were huge amount of people from war-torn Syria. There were huge amount of people from the poor countries of Sahara and North Africa. They were migrating, they were crossing the Mediterranean Sea, and they were trying to penetrate in the Europe, isn't it? And there were many countries they were skeptical about it. In fact, countries like Italy and other countries that are lying on Mediterranean Sea, for them it was a huge problem, because many people were dying, and people were coming, and these refugees, it was a matter of worry for the whole Europe, because Europe is going through some economical crisis as well. But it was Germany that opened the door for the people of Syria, and this was, many people in Germany were not happy about it. But the good thing that I see regarding Germany is that by the time the other countries were thinking about whether to accept migrants or not, what Germany did is they picked up the best of the best people that were coming out. That means the scientists, the engineers, the doctors, all the people who were these refugees, out of them they picked up the best skilled, highly skilled people, and all these people were allowed to come into the Germany. So in this way it made a very good move, and at that point of time there were many people that were not happy about the decision taken by Angela Merkel. Now the leader who is opposing, or the rival in election, he was not active in German politics for a long period of time. He was in the European Parliament, But anyways, both have the same vision. They are for globalization. They are not for anti-globalization. They are for Eurozone. When I say Eurozone, I'm highlighting how Brexit happened, how Britain stepped out of EU, European Union. And we know what Donald Trump, he's building wall in the sense he is for America first. He is, the steps that are taken by Donald Trump is not favorable for globalization. It is anti-globalization, and so the steps taken by Britain. And after these two things, election of Donald Trump and Brexit, there was a wave around the world that it is going to happen in Europe, that many countries will many countries will say that we want to exit from European Union. But luckily things are fine now after the election in Denmark and after election in France and now in Germany as well. Either whatever result would be, but it is going to be favorable for Eurozone. And when I say Eurozone, I am always the main focus here is the relation of India with European Union, right? European Union is one of the biggest trading partner of India, and in this sense, if Europe is shaky, then it is going to be detrimental for our country as well. So things are looking good so far. And there is a small sort of wave of, as I told you, anti-immigrant people. There are people who are saying that immigrants should be kicked out, they should not be welcomed, and there are this sort of Brexit and Donald Trump kind of views as well. But so far it looks everything should be under control. Moving on to another item. This is important one, and again from Myanmar and Rohingya issue, something we have talked about in detail, but this one is providing us altogether a different view. Now we know what are the things going on, so there is no point in repeating the things that we have already discussed earlier. But here is a case of Nurul Islam. This is a gentleman he is from Myanmar. He is basically a Rohingya person. He is a farmer, and what happened is the military came to his town. They have thrashed his people, they have beaten him, they have burned their houses, and the sad thing is that even children are killed, and small children like 13-year-old kids are gang raped by the military. So this is something very brutal. This is something very disheartening, isn't it? So these things are taking place in the Rakhine state of Myanmar at present. So this is a sad story. Now we know the stand that is taken by India on the world platform as well. United Nations Human Rights Chief Zaid Ra'ad Al Hussein, he has said that the things that are going on in Myanmar is basically things executed by the Myanmarese military is a sort of brutal security operation. It is basically killing and harassing people who have nothing to do with weapons or militia, right? They have nothing to do. These are the people who are poor people, and military is using heavy hand on these people. He has also termed this word have become very famous around the, if you Google this word, then as well you find so many articles on this thing. He has used the word a textbook example of ethnic cleansing. This basically means that this is one of the things that we study in textbook, right? It is more, whatever we find like definition, it is best example that this sort of ethnic cleansing is taking place in Myanmar. Other reports as well, like Yale Law School, it also warned in 2015 that this sort of genocide is taking place in Myanmar, and ethnic groups have been harassed, etc., etc. Now coming to India, we know our stand, right? We have discussed about it. Kiran Rijiju, Home State Minister, he said that Minister of State for Home Affairs, he said quite clearly in the Parliament that these people, these Rohingya people, are illegal, right? And they have to go back. We are going to send them back. We are going to deport them. Of course, when he used this word, one thing is quite understandable, that we are not going to collect them all, put them in a boat and chuck them back in their country. It is not going to happen like that way. Of course, we will try to sort it out something, but we are not supporting them. The statements that are given in parliament are official statement, mind that. They are recorded, right? So after 50 years as well, if anything like this happens anywhere, then these things are recorded, these things can be quoted, and this will be noted not only by our country, but the whole world is watching at India, because we are a big brother in this part of the world. Now what is the other thing is that government is saying that there is no sort of international obligation on India, because we haven't signed international convention on this sort of refugees, right? We are not here to give them a sort of refuge in our country. So this is very sad thing that is coming from India, and there is a case going on about which we will come to know in near future. On September 18th, the Supreme Court is going to hear, or the hearing will start. Basically, two people from Rohingya, they have pleaded, or they have filed a petition in Supreme Court, and they have quoted Article 14 and Article 21. Article 14 is about fundamental rights to equality and to life. Now Article 21 provides life is a basically fundamental right, and under Article 21 it is available to both foreigners as well as citizens. So it does not matter whether you are a citizen or not. India, as the Constitution of India guarantees, that it will protect your life. So if you have a threat of your life, then it is the duty of the Constitution, it is the duty of the government to ensure that the person who is in danger should be protected. Now the other thing is that government, India, is saying that, as I told you, we have not signed international law on non-refoulement. Now what is non-refoulement? Allow me to explain it a little bit. Basically, non-refoulement is articulated in Article 33 of 1951 Convention. Now as per it, it mandates that no state shall expel or return a refugee to the frontier of territories where his life or freedom would be threatened on account of his race, religion, nationality, membership of particular social group, or political opinion. What basically it means, we know the situation of Rohingya Muslims. So if we send them back, right, as per this 1951, any country who have signed it cannot send them back to a place where their life is at danger. Simple is that. Now the other thing regarding this thing is that there is a clause again, and this clause is that if the government or if the country is finding that the people who are coming, like the refugees, if the country senses or if it has evidence that this person is going to be a sort of security threat for his or her country, then they can send them back. Then they can say that we don't want to accept you because you could be a terrorist or you could be a problem in my country. So if this is the case, then it can do it. But these are the two things. One thing is that government may use this item in terms of national security. It may use this point of this Article 33 in Supreme Court to defend its stand. Now India is not bound to follow this non-refoulement, since it is not signatory to 1951 United Nations Convention relating to the status of refugees. But if we see the cases that took place recently, right, two high courts in 1998 and in 2015. 1998 it was the Gujarat High Court, and in 2015 it was the Delhi High Court that have virtually incorporated non-refoulement. Basically it said, this two high court has said that at different point of time it has said that non-refoulement, refoulement, basically non-refoulement is within Article 21 of the Constitution. And many a times in the past, many laws that were not signed by our country, that were generally considered as a universally accepted laws, this sort of laws as well were given a green signal by Supreme Court. So it sounds, or we can say that this time as well Supreme Court will listen to or will follow what Gujarat High Court and Delhi High Court have said, and it would be a big relief for the people of Myanmar, particularly this Rohingya people. And ultimately, the petitions filed by the Rohingya refugees are an important test. It is an important test for both the Supreme Court and our country as well. I have told you earlier, and I would like to repeat myself here, that India is a country that has given refuge to numerous different ethnic people. We have given, we have Parsis here, we have Tibetans here, right? We have many Chinese people living here who are not allowed to practice their religion in China. So this is our country which has embraced all different culture and ethnic group, and now it is taking a tough stand. So it is not good for the image of our country, and it will also highlight the way we will tackle this issue will determine our respect in this area, and it will also show whether we are following what we are preaching. In this sense, I would like to also add, like yesterday we have talked in PIB analysis regarding Operation Insaniyat, right? Operation Insaniyat is being conducted by India. It is basically about helping Bangladesh in tackling this Rohingya issue. So we are providing all the medicine and mosquito nets and food items and all these things, and Air Force is engaged in providing assistance, and it is about making sure that the friendship between India and Bangladesh does not get ruined because of this situation. Moving on to another item, it is about creating corridors of certainty. It is about tigers, the national animal of our country. Now what it is basically about, some basic information. India has 60% of global wild tiger population. That means India is the biggest country when it comes to tiger population in wild, right? We are not talking about captivity, it is about wild. Now Ranthambore, I'm sure many of you might have visited or you might have heard about Ranthambore. It is well famous jungle in Rajasthan, and it has a good population of tigers in wild in this place. Now the thing is, this article is basically about genetics, right? And the tigers that are living in Ranthambore are suffering from low genetic diversity and isolation. If I break it down and make it most easiest for you, then the thing is, see, if you have tigers, if you have tigers in good numbers in any particular jungle, but if they are limited to that place only, then after a couple of years or after a period of time, their genes, right, they won't be that much diverse. For their genes to diverse and to match the best in breed, they have to have an access to other tigers as well in different jungles. In this way, the best tigers or the best genes will be carried forward. But if you have a small population, if they are limited, if they cannot migrate from one place to another, from Rajasthan to, say, for example, Madhya Pradesh or Karnataka, for example, then they won't be able to. You won't have this genetic diversity. You will have a low genetic diversity, and this thing is important because if we have low genetic diversity, then it creates mutations and ailments as well, and eventually we may find that the species may vanish or the species may become weak. Here there are some important items that are mentioned that you should keep in your mind. Ken-Betwa River Interlinking Project, about which we have talked in detail in PIB. Then you have Panna Tiger Reserve, that is of course here because of this Ken-Betwa. Huge amount of Panna reserve is going to be submerged underwater. Then Palamau Tiger Reserve of Jharkhand. Then you have Sariska, Kaziranga, right? So these are important ones. Sariska and Kaziranga are in Assam. So keep this reserves in mind. Many of you will find this sort of questions, or we do find this sort of questions in prelims examination. So basically what is needed is we have to provide a link, right? We should have a sort of network through which, if you have one reserve here in different states, so there should be corridors that should be connecting them, all of them, so that tigers can migrate from one place to another and we can have the best genes possible, and in this way we can save our national animal as well. Right, now these are two articles here. One is regarding Rohingyas. We have talked about the things, I have gone through them and I don't find anything new in these things, so there is no point of if you have extra time today, then you can go through it, no doubt, and trust me, it is going to be easy read for you guys, because we have talked about it a lot. Now the other item is regarding Booker Prize. It is about the awards and Booker Prize and the National Book Award, and it is also talking about the Pulitzer Prize. So if you are preparing for SSC, if you are preparing for bank as well, then for you it is important to know what is Pulitzer and what is National Book Award and what is Booker Prize, right, and who won the Booker Prize. But in UPSC you don't find this sort of question, so you don't have to worry about it. Now moving on to India Japan, one of the most important topic. It is basically a summary. We have seen in last 2 days many things took place between these two countries. I will give you a brief summary about it, and with this you would know many things about India and Japan and the whole world and the region as well, right? So basically, since last 3 years, since Narendra Modi government came in, the relationship has skyrocketed. Earlier as well, before that, from 2007 or before that, the relations were growing steadily. Both the countries have been good with each other. We have cordial relation, but since last 3 years the relations have been really strong. Both nations have some commonalities. They both are major economies. Again, both are democracies, big democracies in terms of strong democracies of Asia. So this is good. This partnership of these two countries will help countering high-handedness of China. We know how China is behaving in South China Sea. You might have heard about 9-dash line problem. China is claiming nearly the whole of South China Sea. It is having disputes with many countries. It is having disputes regarding 2 islands with Japan as well, and the stance of China has been very aggressive. It is having, generally speaking, territorial disputes with all of its neighbors, right? China is having like 15-16 neighboring countries, and it is having problem with every country. It is one of the largest country in the world, but even then it wants to snatch away some piece of land from the tiniest country in the world, one of the tiniest country in the world, that is Bhutan. So we have seen the Doklam issue and all these things. So these are the things. The other thing is that when it comes to about region or globe, right, see, the relationship between both the countries is that if we talk about any regional issue or any regional topic, if we talk about any global issue or global topic, all across the board, both nations don't have any sort of disagreement at all with each other. This is a very, very good frame, right? When we talk about diplomacy, when we talk about geopolitics, then this is one of the best example that we have of relationship. And when you don't have any sort of disagreement, then you can take this relationship anywhere you like, right? When we hear this term, or when we say sky is the limit, then this is applicable to the relation of both this country. The other thing is, when we talk about strategic relations, or you can say power relation, then both the nations are doing trilateral exercises. You know about Malabar exercise that is conducted by India, Japan and USA, and then there is another exercise that is conducted, again trilateral, that is conducted by India, Japan and Australia. BrahMos missile could be given to Japan. Japan wants it to defend itself from North Korea and China. They are going to provide us amphibian aircraft which can be utilized for ensuring Indo-Pacific region is safe and sound, because amphibian aircraft can land on water as well. Then when we talk about trade relationship, of course we are not at its peak, or we are not fully utilizing its potential, but anyways we have huge companies of Japanese companies are here, and with the bullet train the trade is going to go up as well, isn't it? So these are the things, things are falling in right direction, so there is no doubt about it. The main challenge for India is to attract small and medium companies of Japan, because we have seen Honda and Suzuki here for the longest time, isn't it? But we need small and medium companies of Japan as well. Then we have set up food park for Japanese people, so this is going to be good for Japanese people, and particularly in Gujarat there are many Japanese people living in this sort of business area, so it is going to be beneficial for them. We have special desk for Japan in Prime Minister's office to sort out the to give clearance to Japanese projects and all these things. They are helping. They are going to help us in cleaning Ganga. They are building along shipyard, right? They are building along shipbuilding yard is being developed by Japan as well. We have talked about bullet train, so I'm not going into that detail, but the bullet train is a sort of indication for the private investors of Japan. The government of Japan is trying to indicate that, see, we are investing this hugely in India. That itself indicates that you too can invest here, so feel free to invest in India. Then people to people contact is not that good. We need to increase this Buddhist and Buddhist tourism. We need Hindu religion tourism. There is a sort of religion that is in Japan that is practiced for the longest period of time, and it is sort of equivalent to Hinduism. Then other sorts of tourism. Japanese people are the most traveling people in the world. Then our students can go there and study there. Their students can come here and study different languages and arts and things like that. The visit of Dandi Kutir and Sabarmati Ashram was indication of that thing. Yesterday we were talking about Cambodia, and thank you very much for many of you who have responded about Mekong River and about the other items regarding the questions that I have thrown at you guys. Now see, yesterday we were talking about Cambodia, and I've told you how it is inclining towards China. So what China is doing is it's trying to break ASEAN. ASEAN is a group of nations, 10 nations of Southeast Asia, and China is trying to create cracks in this region, and this is not good for India and Japan, because both countries are supporting ASEAN, and a good ASEAN is good for both of us. And it is also talking about free navigation, freedom of navigation, because of South China Sea. We are talking about UNCLOS, the laws of United Nations for sea, which is not respected by China. Then we are talking about respecting sovereignty. In the yesterday's speech, these were the main topics that were discussed. Civil Nuclear Pact, we have talked about how important it is for India to go ahead with nuclear deals with the USA. It is important that we have nuclear deals with Japan, but now we have it. Science and technology as well. We have talked about sickle cell anemia, then bone marrow transfer, and this sort of things are also on which we are working. Open sky agreement, that means airlines can operate unlimited flights between these two countries, so this will allow more people to travel between these two countries. Then ASEAN, beg your pardon, Asia Africa Growth Corridor. This basically is a marriage of Indian human resources with Japanese technology. We know Japan is famous for its technology, and we know it very well. We are a nation of youngsters, isn't it? 65% plus population of our country is under 35, so we are a young nation. So this technology and human resources will marry with each other, and with this we would help the countries of Africa to grow. We have work experience in Asia, in Africa, and Japan has technology. So with this we will develop this whole region, and the other ports that are falling or that are connecting India and Pacific Ocean, Indian and Pacific Ocean. And this Asia-Africa Growth Corridor is providing a sort of alternative vision of development. We know how China's colonialism is working, isn't it? We know that it has ruined Hambantota. It is detrimental. Even Pakistan as well is not profiting out of CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. So this Asia-Africa Growth Corridor is going to respect the sovereignty. The people or the government of the nation in which these ports will be developed, they will take the decision. It would be owned by them. There won't be any sort of debt trap. So it will be beneficial, and it is a alternative vision of development. This is one of the most important points that you can take away from this discussion. Amarnath Yatra, the person, Lashkar-e-Toiba terrorist who killed or who attacked Amarnath pilgrims, he is dead. He has been hunted by able police of Jammu and Kashmir, and with him his associate has also been killed. The other items is regarding Tamil Nadu Assembly. High Court has stopped, or it has asked or ordered not to conduct a floor test. Yesterday I have given you a detailed analysis of how it works. Now what is happening is the opposition has said that the speaker might disqualify 19 dissident AIDMK MLAs, and then it will go for the vote of confidence. So what happens is, say if you have 100 people in an assembly, right? And for you, your party has 55, my party has 45. Now in your party there are 10 people who are not supporting you, so what you do is you disqualify them. So now 10 seats are vacant, so the house of 100 is now of 90 because 10 seats are vacant. So now you will go for a vote and then you will definitely win. But if you have this many, if you go with 100 and then you find that you don't have 51, then that is a problem, isn't it? So this is a sort of trick that governments want to play, but High Court has stopped it till 20th September. We have to wait and watch how things takes place. Now a boat capsized in Uttar Pradesh and many people died, and what I want to highlight you here is about the reactiveness of government. I'm not targeting Yogi Adityanath or any person. This is not something that is happening only in Uttar Pradesh. This is taking place all across India. The government do have money to give it to people when they are dead, isn't it? But this should be, there are laws, there are rules and regulations that this size of boat should have this many people, etc., etc. But it is only followed when someone dies. This is the case, right? So this should be stopped because many people are losing their life, and these people were poor people who have lost their life. Many of the breadwinners have gone away, isn't it, from the family. So 2 lakh rupees, it may look nice for time being, it may, but in long run it is not going to be beneficial. So government should ensure that all the rules and regulations that they have made should be implemented. Historic Darjeeling villa ransacked. Now this villa was known as Roy Villa. It is associated with Sister Nivedita. I'm sure you know that Sister Nivedita was Swami Vivekananda's important disciple, and she played a prominent role in freedom struggle and education of girl child. And recently the government was going to celebrate 150th birth anniversary of Sister Nivedita, but what we find is the villa in which she passed away has been destroyed. Many paintings and other things are destroyed. So we were talking about how India is not looking after we were talking about tourism industry in PIB, and I told you how this is an area on which we can develop our country, but we are not looking after it as we should. NGT has refused to ban old diesel cars of the diesel vehicles that are 10 years old, because one diesel vehicle causes pollution equal to 24 petrol vehicles and 40 CNGs. Suzuki is going to invest in Gujarat, and I'm quite excited about lithium ion batteries because this is going to be the future. It is going to be operationalized by 2020. Toshiba and Denso are going to be partner with Suzuki, and they are going to set up this plant, and with this we are going to see more hybrid vehicles on our country, so less pollution. With this I have 3 questions. One is pertaining to GST. What are different rates of tax or slabs under GST? Then Germany, name the famous river of this part of the world. It is a sort of international river, and you also have to name a famous mountain range of Europe. Again, it is crossing through many countries. When we talk about Japan, then we have learned the name of German parliament. So if you know what is the name of Japanese parliament, and also name the most famous mountain of Japan. With this, dear friends, I end this discussion. Do not forget to get your pen drive and tablet courses from our website, or give us a call on this number. Get your lecture from our website and Telegram channel. Do not forget to subscribe, share, like, and pass me your valuable comment. I would be eagerly waiting for your answers. With this, I end this discussion. I will see you all soon. Till then, enjoy your studies. Take care. Jai Hind.